Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Bonjour. Yesterday marked the latest in President Trump's unprecedented series of U.S. tariffs that are designed to reshape the international trading system. The ambition of these measures is enormous. The effects on the global economy will be monumental. We received confirmation that the latest reciprocal tariffs will not be imposed on Canada. At the same time, President Trump confirmed that the tariffs announced last week against our auto industry will come in, and indeed have come into effect today. So while it's progress that further tariffs were not imposed on Canada yesterday, the President's actions will reverberate here in Canada and across the world. Three different sets of U.S. tariffs remain in place and will continue to pose significant threats to Canadian workers and Canadian businesses. And while they have been imposed under different premises, some things are consistent. They are all unjustified, unwarranted, and in our judgment, misguided. And we are already seeing the consequences. Just last evening, workers from Unifor Local 444, with whom I met last week, learned that their auto assembly plant in Windsor will be shutting down for at least the next 2 weeks. That's 3,600 workers who are now out of work, not by their choice. Workers who now worry how they're going to put food on the table and pay their bills. And all those workers hurt by President Trump's tariffs. And that's why we committed from the very start that all, and I repeat, all of our tariff proceeds will go to protect workers affected by the tariffs. That plan is working. As U.S. Customs and Border Protection themselves have acknowledged, there was a 97% drop in fentanyl seized at our shared border in January compared to December. In fact, Canada was not mentioned once in the United States annual report that lists the biggest threat to that country. Just last night, the U.S. Senate made it clear that these tariffs are a mistake. The Senate voted to repeal them in a symbolic but important assertion of both fact and solidarity. The second set of U.S. tariffs were imposed in March on steel and aluminum imports from around the world, including Canada. Canada has long been the United States' main supplier of these materials that are vital to building Americans' homes, their cars, their bridges, their consumer goods, and so much more. These materials are vital to powering America's economy. The President pursued similar tariffs on steel and aluminum during his first term, a process which led to thousands of lost jobs in America. Then, as now, those tariffs were in clear violation of trading agreements. Today it's CUSMA, an agreement that the President himself negotiated and promoted during his first term. An agreement that we in Canada have upheld in good faith. Last week, the President and his administration announced their third set of tariffs, this time against auto imports primarily from Mexico and Canada. In the year I was born, Canada and the United States signed the Auto Pact, an agreement that ended auto tariffs between our nations and began a 60-year period, you can guess my age, a 60-year period of close cooperation, partnership, job growth, and prosperity. And that era has now ended unless the United States and Canada can agree on a new comprehensive approach. Yesterday's actions by the U.S. administration, while not specifically targeting Canada, will rupture the global economy and adversely affect global economic growth. The global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States that Canada has relied on since the end of the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for our country for decades is over. Our old relationship of steadily deepening integration with the United States is over. The 80-year period when the United States embraced the mantle of global economic leadership, when it forged alliances rooted in trust and mutual respect, and championed the free and open exchange of goods and services, is over. Well, this is a tragedy. It is also the new reality. We must respond with both purpose and force. We are a free, sovereign, and ambitious country. We are masters in our own home. We will fight to bring each of these tariffs to an end. We're fighting in courts, challenging that these tariffs have been illegally imposed under U.S. law. We have filed disputes underscoring that they are in violation of our free trade agreement, CUSMA. We have gone to the World Trade Organization because these actions are against international trade law. We are responding today with, and we have responded throughout, with carefully calibrated and targeted counter tariffs. As I told President Trump during our call last week, Canada will respond to the U.S. auto tariffs. And today I'm announcing that the Government of Canada will be responding by matching the U.S. approach, with 25% tariffs on all vehicles imported from the United States that are not compliant with CUSMA, our North American Free Trade Agreement. And on the non-Canadian content of CUSMA-compliant vehicles from the United States as well. Our tariffs, though, unlike the U.S. tariffs, will not affect auto parts because we know the benefits of our integrated production system. And they will also not affect vehicle content from Mexico, who is respecting the CUSMA agreement. And as well, we are developing a framework for auto producers in Canada to get relief from these counter tariffs as long as they maintain their production and investment in our country. Importantly, every single dollar raised from those counter tariffs, our counter tariffs, which could reach around $8 billion before remission, will go directly to our auto workers and the companies affected by those tariffs. And that's on top of a $2 billion fund that we announced last week to build a made-in-Canada auto sector, a fund that a new Liberal government would implement should we be elected. Our retaliatory tariffs that we previously announced in response to the United States' other tariffs will remain in effect. You know, we take these measures reluctantly, and we take them in ways that it's intended and will cause maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And we should be aware that the President and his administration have also signaled that tariffs will be applied on what the Americans term as strategic sectors: pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, lumber, and agriculture. As President Trump and I agreed last week, he and the Prime Minister of Canada will sit down immediately following the election to find areas of common ground and agreement in a new economic and security partnership. I told the President that I will be working hard for the next month to earn the right to represent Canada in those discussions to get the best deal for Canada under the new U.S. approach. At the same time, Canada must be looking elsewhere to expand our trade, to build our economy, and to protect our sovereignty. Canada is ready to take a leadership role in building a coalition of like-minded countries who share our values. We believe in international cooperation. We believe in the free and open exchange of goods, services, and ideas. And if the United States no longer wants to lead, Canada will. Canada is strengthening our trading relationships with reliable partners. My government understands that Canadians hurt by the unjustified tariffs will need our support. And to our workers producing sustainable, high-quality lumber in Smithers, Prince George, and Elmsdale, to our workers extracting oil and gas around Fort McMurray and in northeastern BC, to all our workers who might be worried about their next paycheck and their futures, the federal government will do everything in our power to protect you and your careers. In this new world, we have to look out for ourselves, and because we are Canadian, we will always look out for each other. Fighting back against U.S. tariffs and protecting our workers are our most immediate priorities. But they are not sufficient. Our task as a nation in the coming weeks and months and years is to think bigger and to act bigger. We can draw strength right now from each other. From Canadians who are supporting local businesses, Canadians who are buying Canadian, Canadians who are changing their travel plans, and Canadians who are helping each other as neighbors. We are powerful when we act together. From providing refuge to stranded passengers in Gander to fighting forest fires in California, Canadians have done extraordinary things for Americans when they needed it most. Now, more than ever, we need to do extraordinary things for ourselves. We will need to do things previously thought impossible at speeds we haven't seen in generations. Breaking down internal trade barriers so that we can have one Canadian economy, not 13. Making Canada more productive and competitive. Building things in this country again. Millions more homes. Building clean and conventional energy. Building more public transport, more mines, more assembly lines. Building new trade corridors with reliable partners. Building a Canada that works for everyone. A Canada that everyone can afford. A Canada worthy of its people. Last week, I met a teacher from Glen Williams Public School in Georgetown, Ontario. And she told me about a routine assignment, that she had given to her 9 and 10-year-olds. And the children were asked to describe their dreams for Canada. So some kids wrote about a country free of poverty, others dreamt of clean air and water, or a place where everyone enjoyed equal rights, dignity, and respect. These are what we all want for ourselves and for each other. But many also wrote about tariffs and threats to our sovereignty, words that I hadn't met at that age. And I'm going to quote one which is representative. I dream of a safe, a kind, and a clean Canada. A Canada that is not the U.S. Our children should be able to dream about a positive future, not worry about an economic crisis. Given the prospective damage to their own people, the American administration should eventually change course. But I don't want to give false hope. The President believes that what he is doing is best for the American economy. He believes that it's best for American workers. And although their policy will hurt American families, until that pain becomes impossible to ignore, I do not believe they will change direction. So the road to that point may indeed be long. And it will be hard on Canadians, just as it will be on other partners of the United States. It will require us to make difficult choices. It will require sacrifices. I have no doubt we will rise to the challenge, because that's who we are as Canadians. We have done hard, seemingly impossible things throughout our history. We conquered the unconquerable at Vimy and Juno Beach. We created public Medicare. We confronted our own past with Indigenous peoples. We answered the call to defeat fascism. We know we are not always perfect, but we always strive to be good. We do not do things because they're easy, but because they are right. We will rise to meet this challenge, and we will emerge stronger. So to those kids at Glenn Williams Public School, don't worry. With your spirit, with that of your parents, their friends, and people like them across this great country, all pulling for Canada, we will build an even better Canada for your future, because that's who we are. We are Canada. Canada strong, how Canada fall. Thank you very much.